Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Base to Base with me, Lisa T, and my good friend Glenn Kellaway from the basement. Hey, Glenn.
Hey Lisa, so great to be with you again.
Oh, it's so great to be with you again too. It's been a while. We've been we've been working on other projects though, and keeping busy, and also getting our separate Base to Base with Lisa and Glenn channel up and running.
Yeah.
So that's going to be exciting. So you'll be able to find this episode and our previous 2 episodes on the channel soon. And I'm going to be putting a link in the description to this video.
Awesome.
We're also going to make a playlist, just like we did with episode 2. We're going to make a playlist of all of the different music that we talk about in this episode. And this week, we are going to be talking about the music that got us through 2020 and the amazing bass players who made the music so awesome, since the bass is the most important instrument, I think, for both of us. So we're not going to listen to anything if it doesn't have good bass. Right?
That's right.
Uh,
That's right.
so yeah, this what 2020 was a very interesting year for everybody. The I think the biggest thing was just being stuck at home.
Which I guess on a positive note gave us more time to listen to music.
That's a, that's what I was leading to. So we've both been listening to a lot of music this year. I spent way too much money on music this year. What about you?
Oh, way too much. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Cards
yeah.
now.
I feel very fortunate that I have an understanding husband. Um, he hasn't said a word to me about it, but I know that he's glad that I've got that under control right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to just go on some kind of a music buying allowance myself. So it's not working well.
Have fun with that.
Oh,
I
it's not
have
working well.
I have been utilizing my Spotify a lot, which is really helpful because now I listen to a lot of music on there before buying, and a lot of times it just makes me want to buy it more because you
It
become a
does. It
fan of
works.
somebody. Most of the albums that I'm going to be showing today are, artists that I really wanted to support, so I went directly to their website and bought the album straight from them,
Oh, that's
uh,
awesome.
just to show my support. And the pressings may not be the best, but so I'm still listening to a lot of music through Spotify. And I know you like CDs a lot.
I love CDs and I love vinyl. I like them both, so I got no problem whether I'm
I
listening to a CD or a
I
record.
love music. I
Yeah,
just love music. Whatever medium makes it possible for me to hear the music I want to hear, that's good with me.
yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good with both formats. Love them both. Uh, Sometimes you just can't find a record on. Like there's records that I want on vinyl, but they're either way too expensive because they're rare, or you
Hmm.
can't find them. And CDs, a great
More more
alternative.
readily available.
Yeah.
Or streaming is
Hmm.
not just Spotify, but even I often will purchase music to stream,
Oh.
from the artist. Or a lot of times you get the download cards in the vinyl records, which
Hmm.
that's really nice when they provide that.
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours one day just downloading music. I had so many of those cards saved up.
Oh yeah, I got a few too, but
Like 3 hours.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's awesome.
Well, so tell me about 2020 for you, and let's get into some of the music that helped you get through it all.
Well, 2020 was obviously like everybody. We spent a lot of time at home, and which I kind of tend to do anyway because I'm a bit of a homebody. But it was a magical year for vinyl for me because really, I ended up getting a new turntable, which is always I upgraded my table, which is always motivation to buy more records. So uh, I got a lot of records and bought a lot of old stuff that I just wanted to revisit or just yeah, I think my record collection grew quite a bit. I had a friend who gave me like 200 albums, which really helped too. So
Wow, he just
I'd
gave
say,
it to you?
yeah, and I'd say 160 of them were in amazing mint condition, and the other ones were kind of they're sitting in my garage. I don't know what to do with them. They're unplayable, but I got a
Oh,
great album.
you know
So
what you can do with them? If you like the album covers, you can use them for decorating.
that's yes, I've done a bit of. I made record dividers and out of some of them, and yeah, I'm getting through it all. But yeah, so but I did buy a lot of albums, a lot. I did buy a lot of new stuff, but today I'd really like to focus just on old albums that I bought to revisit and stuff. I'll start with.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I imagine, 2020 was a hard year. It's comforting to go back to the classics, that nostalgia.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Like one artist I've always loved is Donovan.
Oh, yeah.
I have Donovan's greatest hits on SACD and CD and vinyl, but I didn't have any of his actual studio albums in my collection. So
Okay.
I went with Sunshine Superman
Oh, wow. That's a blast from the past. I remember my dad having that album.
and Mellow Yellow.
They called
Both
it
those
Mellow
albums are
Yellow.
fantastic.
Oh, that's a great tune.
Both these albums are so good, and the session guys on this were Jimmy Page on
Oh,
guitar,
wow.
on bass, John Paul Jones,
Oh, wow.
and
John Paul
God,
Jones did the bass?
and a guy I've never heard of before, but I guess he's quite well known in England is Spike Heatley. You ever heard of this guy?
I haven't.
He
So that's something
he
for
was
us
a
to explore.
jazz bass player, played a lot of jazz bands going into the 50s and 60s, and then he
Wow.
became a studio musician and ended up wrapped up with Jimmy Page and that kind of session group. So did a lot of those early rock albums. He was also, I don't know if you know much about the early blues in Britain, but Alexis Corner was one of the big starters of blues bands in England. Alexis Corner's Blues Incorporated. He played in that band, and he later
Wow.
Rod Stewart. And so I'm kind of just investigating the guy now, but Spike Heatley.
Awesome.
Yeah,
You know what? What we'll do, we'll include in the description of this video the websites to these bass players that we mentioned.
yeah,
And if they don't have their own website, then we'll just go with like the Wikipedia
yeah,
page.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, but how about you?
Well, the first one, I discovered her early this year and was blown away. And I know she's been around a little bit. She's out of the UK. She's in Nashville now, and that is Yola.
Oh, wow, that looks cool.
Incredible. Oh, I just love her. She either writes or co-writes most of her songs. She did do a cover of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It is on this album, Walk Through Fire, on streaming or CD. But the LP, I bought it. I wanted to support her.
Hmm.
And it's not on the LP for some reason, but she did an amazing cover of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Really? That's interesting. Where is she
But
from?
from the UK. She's, I
Okay.
think, out of London, and but she moved to Nashville. She moved to Nashville just in time for the pandemic to hit,
Oh,
which she's been doing a lot of the Tiny Desk at Home concerts.
okay.
I love the NPR Tiny Desk. I need to turn my phone volume off. Sorry about that. But anyway, so she's been doing a lot of those concerts, and that's how I found her. And I started listening to her music. Well, there's this one song called here you can see the back of it. It's I wanted to make sure I said it right. Okay, Love All Night, Work All Day is the back of an album. And the bass on it is just outstanding. I don't know how else to. It's, there's a clarity that you can tell when it's been manipulated and when it's just good bass playing,
Mhm.
And I mean, it was just top notch. So I looked up the bass player and found out that it's none other than Dave Rowe, who I don't know if you've heard of him because
No.
he's not exactly a household name, but I mean he's probably he played bass for Johnny Cash
Oh,
on
wow.
his last American Recordings albums, but he's done a lot of country. He's out of Nashville. He's done a lot of country. He used to play bass for Jerry Reed, for Mel Tillis.
Wow.
He's pretty much, yeah. Oh, he's got cred, for
Yeah, he's
miles. And
present.
and
Yeah.
I had never heard of him. And it said, bass Dave Rowe. I said, why does that sound familiar? Probably because I love to read liner notes and I've
Yeah.
probably seen his name.
Mhm.
But I started learning more about him, and wow, what a talent. I mean, watch some of his videos. I'm going to put some of his videos on our playlist because I don't want to talk for too long about each of my people and make this. I don't want to make this too long, but man, he is really just outstanding. And so she, somebody really believed in her to put him on her record.
I
So
made that
that's
note. Yola. I'm going to check it out when I'm.
her name. Oh, Yola, she's incredible. And if you're going to, I would, you can check her out on YouTube. But if you decide to purchase, definitely I would go with the CD. Um, for two reasons. One is you want to hear that Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. It's just amazing. But two, um, you know, not an awesome pressing.
Yeah.
The LP does not sound that. I bought it to support her, and I don't regret it. And I'll buy her next one. But I mainly listen to it streaming because it's not, you know,
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
yeah. So who you got?
Okay. Well, next again, for another thing, like I've always been a fan of the blues. It's always, I mean,
Yeah,
kind of the Rolling
I love,
Stones
love
introduced me to
blues.
the blues in 1964, and I didn't
Mhm.
really even know it was blues. I just thought it was the Rolling Stones music, and then it probably took till like '67 before Cream and all those guys and Hendrix and everybody
Right,
kind of introducing us to all these great black blues guys that
right.
we're not getting any recognition for this great music. And one album that I freaking loved that came out in around 1969 is this album called Fathers and Sons. It's Muddy
Oh,
Waters. Now the reason they call it Fathers and Sons, and you'll see the black dude's reaching down to the white dude.
right,
It
right,
is kind of like passing the torch from Muddy Waters to like
right,
Bloomfield and Paul Butterfield and all the white Chicago blues guys. And
right.
one of the records is a studio and one is live. They're playing together, but it's an amazing blues album. But the bass player is Donald Duck Dunn, who's
Oh, wow.
yeah
Legendary.
legendary. Yeah, so I mean he played with Booker T and the MGs right in the '60s and. Session records with Stax. I mean, he did Otis Redding, Bill Withers, Elvis. He played with Sam and Dave, Albert King.
It's
Uh, he played bass
incredible.
on "Stop Dragging My Heart Around" with Tom Petty and
Oh,
Susie.
really?
And
Oh,
I
wow.
happen to have this instructional bass book, Soul Fingers: The Music and Life of Duck
Holy
Dunn.
cow.
Pretty good book. I haven't really explored it a lot to play along with any of it,
Soul
but
Fingers.
yeah,
I'm going to write that down. I want that book.
yeah, so it gives 57 songs transcribed note for note. Plus, it's a biography, and yeah, very cool book. It's all in tab, and so yeah, Donald Duck Dunn. I mean, one of the
Awesome.
greats.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. I'm so glad that in the late '60s that they finally started, that we finally started learning about who all of these great studio musicians were. Um, oh, what? Not to get off subject, But if you haven't watched Glenn's video, Glenn, your video about the Beatles, your for Calico.
Oh yeah, for Calico Silver. Yeah.
Okay. I loved what you said about Pet Sounds. I was like, yes, they, somebody had to say it. I'm not saying that they aren't well written songs. And Carol Kay said herself that yes, yes, Brian Wilson did basically write the music. But you know, they have to put their own stamp on it. They have to do it was all studio musicians.
Yes.
But anyway, so we're, Pet
Oh,
Sound,
that's fine.
at that time though, people just thought, oh, the Beach Boys, they're so amazing. And it's
Yeah.
like they weren't playing any of it. They
No.
now they, the harmonization, that was all them,
Yeah.
but which should is not to be discounted,
No.
but but the music was the musicianship was, yeah, basically
The
the,
wrecking crew.
Wrecking Crew. Yeah. Oh, Carol Kay hates when people call them that because
Oh, dude.
it's a name that was given to them later. It was,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So she's all, we weren't called the Wrecking. I don't think she gets that wrecking is a cool thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Thinking, yeah, they went in and wrecked all these records.
No, no. She just doesn't. Well, here's the thing. She likes truth, and so it bugs her that term bugs her. But she yeah, the Wrecking Crew basically did all of the music for that. So
Yeah.
anyway, so I'm glad now that that we now know who all of these great musicians and who all these great bass players were,
Hmm.
because yeah, back in the early 60s, James Jamerson, who,
Yeah.
and
No.
now we know.
Everybody on earth has heard him play, and no one knows who he is. Yeah.
Didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, and I'm definitely going to check out that book, Soul Fingers. That looks great. Well, of course, anybody who's watched my channel already knows who I was listening to mostly in 2020, and I'm not going to stray from that for variety. I'm going to stick with it because we haven't talked about the bass players yet. And so you know that I discovered Frazee Ford in 2020, and this was her debut album that came out in 2010. And this was the music that drew me to her. She put out this album, You Can Be the Sun, which is my favorite. This might be her masterpiece. I know the other one was done with the high rhythm section and all that stuff, but this might be her masterpiece. But she was scheduled, because this was released in March of 2020. She was supposed to go on the NPR Tiny Desk concert, and of course the quarantine hit and she couldn't travel. So they re-aired her appearance from 2010 for this album, Obadiah. And man, her voice and the songs, I just sat there and cried. I watched it a second time. And so I started looking for her other music, and I found this album, Indian Ocean. That's the one that you bought.
I bought that on your recommendation. It's a great album.
It is. I almost didn't stick with it when I first heard it, though, because I don't like the second song, Runnin'. I don't like that song. But
Oh,
I
okay.
love the first. Yeah, but I stuck with it, and it was like, wow, it just got better and better, and I love that song, Indian Ocean.
And
I
there's
hit
a song on there called "Done." I'm done or done.
I
Oh,
love that song. I
I
love that
love that.
song.
Yeah.
And also, and that song has a special meaning for me because I went through a divorce once, and he tried to take my kids from me. And when
Oh,
she talks about, you can drag me in front of some authority
yeah.
and all that stuff, I'm like, it really spoke to me. That album really spoke to me. But I love this album. Well, I found out though she's had the same bass player for all of these albums, and he also worked with her with the Be Good Tanya some, and his name is Darren Paris. and I have not found any of his other work. And I know he must not work exclusively for her, but I
Yeah.
think he is just like a local, he's a local British Columbia bass player. And, I would like to find out more about him. So, and I haven't even been able to find a website for him.
I'll see if I
So
can find him. He must
I'll
be
have to do a,
somewhere on. Being a Canadian, I must be able to. I'll be able to find him.
be able to find something. It's DARRENPARRIS.
Okay.
So so Darren and Paris both have two R's, and but
All
he
Canadians know each other, right? I know Americans don't know a lot about Canada. We all know.
we all know each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, he is just terrific, and I love his the bass playing. I think my favorite, and ones I want to put on the list on is Purple and Brown, which is on You Can Be the Sun, and the kids are having none of it. And then on those will probably be the two that I put on the list, but what an amazing bass player though. And when she did her performance on and I'm also going to put on the list her KEXP out of Seattle performance
Okay.
for
Cool.
Indian Ocean, and he's playing on that as well. So you guys can, anybody watching can go check it out from the playlist.
That's excellent. Wow. Yeah, I love Frazee Ford. Thank you for turning me on. He's great.
You know what? I just feel like I don't know how. I don't know how she isn't. I don't know how she isn't Joni Mitchell right now. She should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She should be today's Joni Mitchell. I don't understand how she isn't. But maybe she will be. I mean, it's not over yet.
Yeah. 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 So, another band, obviously, that I've loved all my life, but when I got those records off my friend gave me like 160 records, and one of them was Exile on Main Street, an original pressing of Exile on Main Street. So
great Rolling Stones album.
My favorite Rolling Stones album, and I just been on a real Stones kick this year as well. So
I have too, Glenn. I have too. I've been making Tony listen to long Rolling Stones playlists while we play board games almost every night. It's a good way to spend time together without having, you can just be together and play a game. But I have been on the biggest Rolling Stones kick. Sorry for interrupting you.
Well, that's okay. No, so anyway, the guy who never really gets a lot of recognition, who's a pretty solid bass player, is Bill Wyman. When people mention the best bass players,
I know
the man never
nobody ever mentions him.
Oh.
You know what? You're right, and in fact, I don't think I've ever mentioned him, and yet he's amazing. I mean that. You know what song comes to mind immediately is "Emotional Rescue." The bass on "Emotional Rescue."
Yeah.
Not a lot of people would consider that one of the Rolling Stones' worst songs. A lot of people didn't care for it, but the bass on it is outstanding.
Yeah, that and "Miss You," they're kind of the disco-y songs, right?
Yeah, that was like. I think that's why people didn't like it. That was kind of like their disco. Yeah.
Yeah, but great. Yeah, and also he was kind of iconic because he played that teardrop Vox bass. Remember when the Stones first started? Like that bass is iconic.
Oh my.
It's almost as iconic as McCartney's violin bass.
I had forgotten all about it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he played a short scale bass too. I don't know if you know that. Like he played the short scale bass, for anyone who doesn't know, is 31 inches from the nut to the bridge, whereas a standard bass is 3 inches shorter.
Right.
And he kind of, and he also, back like 1961, before he joined the Stones, he modified a bass and turned it into a fretless bass, which I don't know who was playing a fretless electric bass in 1961 or 62. I mean, he kind of pioneered.
I don't know of anybody.
Yeah, and he's supposedly he's big on walking bass lines, learning all that from the old blues guys, right? Which I love walking bass.
What? You're right. You are so right. I mean, as you're talking, I'm like, wow, it's like eureka moment. And but you're right. He does not get love. He gets, I think maybe just because John Paul Jones and maybe, Paul McCartney a little bit more, a little bit more well known. And so I think that's might be the reason why he gets overlooked because he kind of gets lumped in with them. But I think he's a superior bass player to Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Well, just
Although I
different.
love Paul McCartney, it is a different style. He's a
Yeah.
different, you know,
Hmm. Yeah,
but
but yeah, and I also think because he was kind of he lacked personality, like he just stood there on stage, kind of stone
he
faced,
just he
like
just
in
he just got the job done.
Yeah, yeah,
Which that's kind of that's kind of the bass player that I'm more likely to be attracted to is
hmm,
somebody who's not flashy, who just
yeah,
does their job.
yeah. So yeah, big kudos to Bill Wyman.
You should let everybody know where you got your hat. I love that hat. You notice that Glenn is wearing the bass clef cap.
I think I bought it from a music store, like up here in the biggest music store in Canada,
Oh,
Long and McQuaid's. They're national. They're like your music. What do they call it? Guitar Center, I think it is in the States. Is that the big one?
I couldn't even tell
I
you.
think it's Guitar Center is your big,
I
national
think I have heard of Guitar
store
Center.
in yeah, recently.
Yeah, a
Ours is
Guitar
called.
World, I think, is another one
Yeah,
that I've heard of. Yeah, but
yeah,
I've always just when it comes to that, I go local.
yeah.
Um, yeah, my local store is Eric's Guitar Shop,
Oh
so
yeah,
that's where I go.
yeah. It's good to support the locals.
If you can, not that the other ones don't need support too. They employ a lot of people,
Hmm.
but a lot of it is just because I want them to have time to talk to me
Yeah, true.
and know what they're talking about. Sometimes they hire kids that are learning and they want it,
Yeah.
but they just may not be able to help you as much.
If you ever want to
Well,
go on a road trip, I don't know how far would Lansing, Michigan be from Toledo, Ohio?
not bad, not bad. I think one from Toledo. Well, now Toledo is 2 hours north of me,
Okay. Oh,
so it
Toledo.
would be. Yeah, I'm down in Dayton. I am.
You're in
I
Dayton.
am
That's right.
Mhm.
You're in
I'm
Dayton.
southwest. I am about an hour from the Kentucky border.
Yeah.
I'm about an hour, and I'm also about an hour from where Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio meet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just the way things are shaped is kind of
Yeah.
funny, but
Yeah.
but
Ohio
yeah,
State. Yeah.
but yeah, I would love, and I actually have a good friend that lives up in Lansing,
Well,
and
because
I have
it's the greatest music store in the world in Lansing, right? Elderly Instruments. Have you ever heard of Elderly Instruments?
I haven't even heard of him.
Oh, it's about the greatest music store you could ever. It's as good as Gruen's or any of the big names like from Nashville or anything.
Oh,
It's an amazing store. It's in a big old house in
we,
Lansing.
we gotta go
Been around
sometime,
for years.
Glenn.
I'll send you a link to their website because they got the greatest website.
We gotta
Instruments.
go sometime. When it warms up, we gotta go.
Well, my wife and I, we used to go to Lansing. Like that's where I bought a lot of instruments there. That's how I bought a couple of bands
Okay.
there and that. Yeah, we used to go all the time. We kind of fell in love with the place because it's, East Lansing is where Michigan State is, and it's kind of a lot of little trendy places and stuff. But yeah, great music instrument store. It's a candy store for people like you and me.
Oh, I'm sure I'd love it.
I'll
I'd
send
love
you
it.
a link, an email.
Yeah, my friend Dina lives. My friend, she lives, I think, about a half hour from Lansing, but that would be cool because I could go up there to visit her, and yeah, it'd be awesome if you and Lynn we can meet at the music store. That would be so cool.
Oh
We
yeah,
could, maybe they'll let us tape there.
yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's something to look forward to because we love going to Lansing, so that'd be great.
Oh, yeah, and I know it's a beautiful place. I mean,
And there's a
but
couple of good record stores there too. So
there's a girl whose channel I watch quite well when she makes videos. Not She doesn't do as many videos lately, but Rachel's Records,
yeah.
and she's in Michigan and she goes shopping in Lansing.
Ah,
She kind of goes shopping everywhere.
yeah.
She also made some videos this past. She took a trip to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so she. Uh, but here's the thing: the next bass player. I can't believe I didn't mention him in our first episode. I mean, the second episode probably wasn't, didn't have as much call for it, but I should have mentioned him in the first episode. And that is Zach Cockrell, bassist for Alabama Shakes, and who is fronted by Brittany Howard.
Yeah.
And well, Brittany Howard decided she needed to do a solo record.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh, it's amazing, but it's a very personal album. You can definitely see why it needed to be a solo effort because it wouldn't have made sense for Alabama Shakes as a band.
Mm-hmm.
But Zach Cockrell and she met in high school, like they were sophomores, I believe, in a psychology class, and then they formed a really, a friendship and a bond. They formed Alabama Shakes together, and so when she needed to do this solo project, which is outstanding, I mean, she put everything of herself into it. It has everything. She sings about, and I mean, not vaguely. I mean, she explicitly talks about what it's like growing up biracial in Alabama.
Wow.
About being gay, about coming out, about reconciling religion with other things. Like she did this song called which is one of my favorite songs that Zach Cockrell plays bass on. This song called "He Loves Me," and it's I'll put it on our playlist. But it's basically he loves me. He loves me when I'm smoking blunts and loves me when I'm drinking too much. About no matter what she does, Jesus loves her.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but here's a live album. It was a record store day release, but I've really been enjoying this.
Oh, that's
And
I
man,
didn't know that either.
it's live at Sound Emporium, and I don't know if it's available anymore or if it's sold out. I know they didn't. I think they only did like 1,000 of them or something like that, or maybe more. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So I thought a lot of times when a member of a band, especially when it's the front person for the band, wants to do a solo project, the rest of the band just gets pissed at them. They're being left out, whatever.
Yeah, or they're
But
saving their best songs for the solo album and not for the band.
and not for the band. But he supported her, and he when she recorded this concert, he was right there playing bass, and he's one of those guys that he's always sitting down and he's always making himself as small as he can, which is funny because he's a really big guy. And he's got this beard and he wears a cap and he's got the lid pulled down, and he's like he plays like he's just trying to, like, he just wants to play and he wants his bass to be heard, but he wants to be invisible.
Yeah.
And I can really relate to that. I can relate to that because when I tried to be in a band, it was the same thing. I was playing my harmonica, which I love. But I couldn't, I would just almost get sick at the thought that people could see me. I would have rather just been behind a curtain with a microphone.
Yeah. The Wall. You would have been good in Pink Floyd with Roger Waters in The Wall.
Yeah. So he kind of, so he intrigues me. Now, the one album of Alabama Shakes in 2020, I listened to a lot of this. I listened to a lot of Sound and Color from Alabama Shakes. Mm-hmm. I did listen to their debut album some. I think I got it right here if I can find it. But I don't know. I've got it here somewhere. But
Yeah, I had the debut on.
Can't find it, but yeah,
There was
huh?
one great song. What was their big hit off of that first album?
The debut album, the first song was "Hold On."
Yeah, great
That
song.
was the big.
Oh,
Well, I had this tiny little. I will always remember this. I'll never forget him. I had this tiny little foster kitten named Nipsey. Now I got him and his three brothers when they were literally about a day and a half old. They still had their umbilical cords, and I had to bottle feed them. And Nipsey was actually dead when they were found, and the
oh,
person who found him got him, revived him, and I had to revive him twice. And then, but he is now a big, strong cat, and he's got a forever home, and he's doing great. But it was so funny when he was after I'd feed him, every week I would change the lyric of the song and I would just say, bless your heart, bless your soul. Didn't think you'd make it. Just 7 weeks old. It must be someone up above saying, hold on, Nipsey. And I would sing that song to him. I would sing that song to him and I would hold him up and he would purr. And I got to see Nipsey again. And he stopped and he looked at me and then he walked up to me and he put his paws up on my knee and I picked him up and he went like this to put his arms forward like, okay, sing to me. You're supposed to sing
awesome.
now.
That's awesome.
So anyway, yeah, so that the bass on that song is also really great. And I think that album is from 2012.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine he's only gotten better.
Yeah.
But he is just really amazing. Zach Cockrell. And I don't think he has a website, but I'm going to put his Wikipedia page in the description. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll include that song "Hold On" since it was mentioned. And yeah.
Now you got me interested in the Brittany Howard solo stuff. I got to look it up. So
it's amazing. Yeah, it's all on YouTube, and she's done a whole lot of I think the hit off of the album's called Jamie. Jamie was her sister who died of a rare form of ocular cancer.
Ooh.
And she was the one who got Brittany Howard interested in music, got her singing, got her playing guitar. And so the album is dedicated to her sister, Jamie. And it's just the hit off of that is called, I'm trying to remember the name of the song. It's Get High. But it's not about, or Stay High. Yeah, it's called Stay High. But it's not about marijuana. Although she does have a marijuana song, but that one's not it.
Oh.
That one's more about being in love. And that one's more like, kind of falling in love with somebody for the first time. And she was singing about her wife. They're now married.
Oh, well, there you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. I'm continuing with a blues theme here today. I don't know how it come up, but
well, 2020 was a year to listen to a lot of blues.
I guess it was. It certainly seemed to be that way for me. But Willie Dixon.
That's what you were listening to earlier when we first.
I was. Willie Dixon, I Am the Blues. This is such an incredible album.
And he is.
I mean, if you're a fan of those white blues bands from the 60s, I mean, they did all the Willie Dixon songs. Backdoor Man, the Doors did that. I Can't Quit You, Babe, Zeppelin off their first album, right?
He's
Spoonful,
incredible.
Cream, Spoonful was his song. I Ain't Superstitious, a Jeff Beck song from Jeff Beck Group. You Shook Me.
I didn't know that.
Hoochie Coochie Man, his song.
I knew that one was him.
Little Red Rooster.
You see, now here's the thing: Little Red Rooster. A lot of people think that was Howlin' Wolf.
Yeah, no, I think
it was a cover. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
It was a cover.
He played great bass, but he played upright bass. I don't think he played electric bass at all. But a ton of people. I mean, Muddy Waters and. There's a great album. I don't know if you've ever heard this album, but if you haven't, it's the best recorded album I've ever heard in my life.
Really? That's saying something.
Muddy Waters folk singer. This is
I've
just
never heard it.
incredible. If you can find this, it's on vinyl. This is a SACD,
Okay.
but vinyl or CD, it's incredible. It was recorded in the early '60s, and it's Buddy Guy, Muddy Waters, and,
Of course, Buddy Guy.
Willie Dixon. It's almost an acoustic blues
Was
album.
Junior Wells?
Junior Wells isn't on it. No.
Okay.
And,
that's okay. I love all the other guys too. I just always associate Junior Wells with Buddy Guy.
You've never heard an album where it sounds like you can actually, all the instruments are all so separate, and the vocals, and it's one of the only albums I hear that sounds like the musicians are in the room with me when I play it. It's
wow,
a great album. But anyway, Willie Dixon's on this album. That's why I mentioned.
Well, I just found the album on Spotify. I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it after we're done here.
Yeah. And so Willie Dixon, another great one.
Awesome. I should be writing down your people so I can make sure and get them in the description of the video.
I can send you an email after if you want.
Yeah, thanks. That would be awesome. So another album that really got me through 2020 is Jenny Lewis.
That would get me through 2020 too.
Well, I know. And this album cover is kind of, what's so funny is that all of the promotional, appearances that she had to do for this album, she wore a sweatsuit.
No,
I think it was like she was trying to, and and they did like a photo shoot of her in this. And now she does like to wear form-fitting, kind of sexier clothing, but she does have a line. It's really funny because all the photo shoot pictures, she looks so uncomfortable. Like
really?
She's just like, oh my God, I'm wearing this. But her previous album, The Voyager, the front of it was like a blazer, just a picture of her blazer. Okay. And so I think this was supposed to be like a progression of this is a breakup album. The whole album, with the exception of one song, which is mostly about her mother who passed away, and her having to go to the hospital and take care of her mom every day.
Now, what you know the only thing I know about Jenny Lewis? She did an album with Van Morrison, right? You Win Again, it's called.
If she did, I don't know about it. I'll have to look into it. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure. I could, unless I'm wrong. I'm thinking of somebody else, but that's the only reason I know the name. Even Jenny Lewis.
I'll look it up. I can see it happening.
Yeah,
I can see it happening, but I don't know. See, I didn't.
An R&B artist, or what is she? When you hear the name Jenny Lewis, I think country music, but I get the feeling she's like.
Well, she has, a very large umbrella. Okay, so she was with a band called the Postal Service, which was more alternative, almost kind of just alternative rock. Mm-hmm. And then she was also in a band called Nice as Fuck, and they are all just drums. Yeah, they are just drums and bass and a little bit of keyboards and really upbeat. All of their music, they're all protest songs pretty much. Mm-hmm. And then, but Rilo Kiley was the band that she was with for the longest time, and they were alternative country-ish. They were like they were kind of like the stereotypical or indie darlings, if you will. But then they broke up. She decided to go on her own, and I had never heard of her until I watched a documentary about Austin City Limits. And it was about their 40th anniversary and them starting the Austin City Limits Hall of Fame. And they interviewed Jenny Lewis. They started out with Tao and the Get Down, Stay Down, who's somebody else I love. And but I couldn't put her album Temple on here because so much of it was done electronically, so they didn't really have that bass. Um, so, but Jenny Lewis was interviewed for that, and I was like, oh, well, who is she? And I went and I started listening to her music, and I really like her. So I am way behind. She has been around for 20 something years, and I am way behind in finding her. But I found her in 2020, so I guess better late than never.
Yeah.
And I love this album. The first song I heard off this album was Red Bull and Hennessy, which she has asserted is a metaphor and not a drink recipe. She said, "Don't try it; it's horrible." But it's a breakup album, and so she guess you're not going to believe who. First of all, the drummers on the album were none other than Ringo Starr and Jim. Oh,
Keltner.
yes, I was going to. Oh my gosh, I know his name, but it just left my brain. But yeah, Jim Keltner. And the bass players were Don Was, famous producer Don Was, who okay, well he did bass also, and he produced the 2016 Rolling Stones album.
Yes, that's
With,
what I'm
Blue and Blue and was it Blue and Lonely
Blue
or
and Lonesome.
Blue and Lonesome?
Blue's
Blue and
one.
Lonesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
Resume. Yeah.
Yes, he does. He's the president, or I don't know if he still is, but he at least was the president of Blue Note Records for a long time. But anyway, so the two of them play the bass. Beck and Don Was are the bass players on this album.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
it suddenly came to me. I think it's Gail Lewis who played with Van Morrison.
okay. I was wondering because I was trying to picture, but she has done some duets with different people. So,
yeah, you're turning into a lot of good stuff today, Lisa.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
But the album, I mean, the song on here that to me the bass just really is just wow. It's called Little White Dove.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like that one and the bass on Red Bull and Hennessy. But I mean, the whole album is just really great. I mean, there's a couple of, as far as the bass playing is solid on the whole album. It's really awesome. Love it. I love this, and I also listened to a whole bunch of Nice as Fuck, which is mostly just the bass and the drums, but I don't have the LP or the CD to show, so I'm showing this one, but I also listened to that as a lot as well. Nice as Fuck.
It sounds like it's a very spacious album. That album.
Yeah, it's mostly protest songs. I stream it on Spotify. And they have a lot of stuff to say that you probably, if you're a Donald Trump fan, you may not like the album very much, or if you're just or if you don't have a political opinion, you should like it.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was really, and of course it's like Beck and Don Was, of course the bass playing is going to be fantastic. Mm-hmm. But yeah. I just, I was really surprised to find out that all of these really accomplished musicians, showed up to support the music like that because they don't have to. Yeah. They're at the point where nobody can tell them what to do anymore. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I was really impressed with that. But so yeah, Jenny Lewis, the name of the album that I listened to is called On the Line. On the Line.
Excellent. I'm making notes. Well, I got one more.
Yeah.
I mentioned this album when we did our first video, I think, but it's an album I just rediscovered. It's a great album from 1969, and I found it a mint copy used for like $12, and Fly in the Family Stone Stand.
Oh, wow.
I love
Yes.
this album. This is an
Yes.
incredible album, and the song "Sex Machine"
Love,
on
love
side
them.
two is just unbelievable, and the bass player is Larry Graham.
Oh, wow. You
Uh,
know, yeah. So that fits that goes flows nicely into my next thing.
So he was, I didn't know this until I started researching him, but he was the inventor of slap bass. He was the first guy doing the slamming the thumb and doing the pops and everything. He was
Yeah.
the father of
It,
slap bass, which,
and that's
you know,
something which, well, it's a little bit disputed whether it was him or whether it was Lewis Johnson from the Brothers Johnson, but
okay.
they're both fantastic, and they actually work together. So I don't think either of them would mind.
Now he played with Sly for from 1966 to 72, and then I didn't know this. He had a band called the Graham Central Station. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I have heard of them, but I haven't listened to a whole lot of their music, but I've heard of them.
Okay, I'm kind of
Somebody,
interested in
somebody
checking.
else was somebody else was telling me that I should listen to Graham Central Station, and I think I
Okay.
did follow them on, I think I did follow them on Spotify or on Facebook or
Yeah,
someplace I followed.
I'm going to check them out. If anybody wants to leave a comment about them, I'd love to hear it because I'm really can't recall hearing them before. But great bass player.
Well, I'm sorry, I was trying to find. I was trying to find something. I thought that I had. I could have swore that I had listened to a song from Graham Central Station, and I was trying to find what it may be, but I can't find it here. But Larry Graham is is probably should have been in our last video. I'm
Mm,
I'm a but you can't catch everybody,
no,
but he I wish he would have had an honorable mention because you know Sly and the Family Stone. I used to listen to them. I mean I pretty much I had two albums of theirs when I was a teenager, and I pretty much wore them out.
yeah.
And I
Well, you
used to
go on
pretend,
Spotify and listen to
I used
Sex
to pretend I was
Machine.
playing.
That song "Sex Machine" is just incredible. It's about 10 or 12 minutes long, and they're just jamming away there, and it is just amazing. Instrumental, just incredible song.
There's a there's a channel. I do have one more album here, but there's this channel for Tommen's guitars and basses, and there's this bass player that I can't find her last name to save my life. Her name's Julia, incredibly talented, and she does videos of her playing the bass lines from just about every iconic bass player that you've heard of. She does James Jamerson. She did Lewis Johnson. Well, she also has a video of her playing Larry Graham.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and so I would love to find that and put it on our playlist along with you know give her a little bit of recognition.
Mm-hmm.
She's an outstanding bass player.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think she teaches bass. But sorry, I'm not distracted. I'm trying to work too many things at one time. Well, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do is I would love to figure out eventually how to port um another YouTube video so that we can sit and watch it together.
Oh, that would be cool.
And I know there's a way to do it, but that's okay. I can always splice it into
So,
the video.
We'll do one of those famous reaction videos.
Oh yeah, we have to react. You know, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know what I could react to though. I mean, I am still very much a beginner bass player. You know, so it would be kind of like, how dare me even have an opinion? But I mean, I could sit there and go, wow, oh
Yeah,
my
that's what I'm
gosh,
thinking. Holy shit, is that guy?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, so oh, wait a minute. Oh, I've got. I guess I still have. You know, I've already talked about this. Yeah, I've talked about this once before, but I just have to bring it back
Bruce.
to show everybody this. You've got to try to take a listen to this album. It is just, I'm not really a metal fan per se, but this has been kind of my gateway into being more open to it. But this album is, it's funky, it's rock, it's experimental, it's just really, it is out there. I love it. It's Robert Trujillo on bass. Basically, Infectious Grooves is a super group of sorts. A couple of members of Suicidal Tendencies and Robert Trujillo from Metallica, and a couple other guys. But because that isn't my number one genre, I'm not super familiar with them. This is an EP right here, and it is a 45 RPM. And anyway, the vinyl's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's got that nice kind of well, I guess I was going to say it's a transparent orange, but it might be a little more opaque. But I have listened to that album so many times, and I just love it. It's got some really cool bass lines. The bass is a feature. It's not just, it's not in the background. It's at the forefront.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, I got to check that out
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so so I really highly recommend this Infectious Grooves,
Oh,
Robert
wait,
Trujillo.
we're going full circle here. We start off the video talking about spending too much money on music, and now you're showing me like 4 albums that I want to buy.
Well, you know what? They're all available. You can find all of it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find all of it on YouTube, and we'll put we are going to put some of it in the playlist. Um, our new channel is Bass to Bass with Lisa and Glenn. I went back and forth. Should it be Glenn and Lisa, Lisa and Glenn? It seemed like
Lisa and Glenn. Sounds better.
it flowed better. Yeah, it flowed better. Yeah. So and
like
of course,
yeah. Paul always wants to switch it around and say McCartney Lennon. Like it doesn't
No,
work.
it doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah. So
I
won't. I promise I won't demand that it be changed to Glenn.
Well, I don't think we'll ever become that important. You never know, though.
No, you don't know. Yeah.
You don't know. But we, honestly, we're just a couple of people who just really love the bass. We have a lot of appreciation and respect for these artists, and the great thing about it is there are so many talented and amazing bassists out there that we can do these episodes and keep going, and we will never run out of people to talk about.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. We'll never run out. Yeah, there's so many, and every time we do an episode, it always reminds me of somebody else after that. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't bring them up, So I would love to get some more ideas for episodes. People can leave ideas in the comments, or you can email us at base2basetalk@gmail.com. And I can put that in the description as well.
Awesome.
And yeah, and then one of us can check the email and get back to you. But we should have the channel up and running in the next couple of days, and we're going to port all of these videos over there. And anybody who would like to subscribe, of course, we'll subscribe back if we can see your subscription. YouTube hides, if you want your subscriptions hidden, they don't just hide them from everybody. They even hide them from the channel that you're subscribing to.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I won't see somebody, and so make sure you drop us a comment and let us know that you've
Yeah.
subscribed, so that we can make sure and subscribe back to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, great. This has been wonderful.
I enjoy this so much. We had a rough start to the new year, but thanks to the music, I've held it together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Music is therapy.
It is. I feel like I have left something out. Is Have I forgotten anything?
I don't think so. Just goodbye.
He's like, we've been on here an hour, Lisa. Let me go. Okay.
Peace, everyone.
Peace
Thank
to
you,
you.
Lisa.
Love you. Love you. We'll talk to you real soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.